On the previous parts, you learned about setting up a simple form as a template-driven form, where you also learned how to add validations and also how to submit data. On this part, you are going to learn how to set up the same form, but as a reactive form. Then next, you'll also learn how to add data validations to reactive forms and also submit data. So let us go to our project. In the reactive form, I'm going to start from the component instead of the HTML file. Now here, the first thing that we need to do is that we need to set up a form group. I'll first comment out the feedback related code. I'll just comment out these lines. And then here I'll just type feedback form. And this is going to be of type form group. Let us import the form group. Import. And then form group from at Angular and then forms. We get an error which will say that you don't have a default value. So for that, if you want, you can just add undefined type to property feedback form. I'll add the undefined in here. And then inside the ng on init, I'm going to initialize the feedback form. Now, to initialize the feedback form, which is of type form group, you need to use the form builder service. To use the service, we have said that we need to use dependency injection to inject that service in this component, and the injection happens inside a constructor. So let us create the constructor. The shortcut is ctr and then tab. Inside here, we said that we are going to inject the form builder. So private, then FB, short for form builder, and then form builder. Let us import the form builder. The form builder is also part of the Angular forms. So start in here, form builder. The error is gone. And now inside here, I'll just type this dot feedback form is equal to this dot form builder dot group. Now inside the group method of a form builder, you get to define all the properties of that form. So like the email address, the phone number, rate, etc. Let us start with the address. I'll just type email address. And then for now, I'm just going to set a default value to be just an empty string. Then we're going to define the phone number. This is going to be just an empty string as well. Then we're going to have the rate. The rate is going to be, let's say, value 8. Then we will have the feedback title, which will have the value empty string. And then we're going to also have the feedback value itself, which will also have an empty string. Now down here on the submit feedback, you're going to use the feedback form to show or to log the data. So this is all we need to do for now on the feedback.component.ts. Let us go back to the HTML file. Now here, the first thing that we need to do is that we need to define the form group. And we have said that our form group is going to be the feedback form. So in here, inside the form, so inside the form tag, I'll just type form group. And the value for the form group is going to be the feedback form. And then here we're going to also define the ng submit method. And this method will be the same method as in the previous parts, which is the submit feedback. Just paste it in here. Then we need to also add the parentheses so we know that this is a method. But we see that we still get an error on the form group. Now, if you hover the mouse in here, you'll see that cannot bind to form group since it's an unknown property of form. Now to fix this error, what you need to do is that you need to go to the app.module.ts. And in the app.module.ts, you need to add reactive forms module. The reactive forms module does belong to Angular forms and similar to the forms module. So basically, if you want to use the template-driven forms, you need to have, or you need to import the forms module, especially if you want to use the two-way data binding. And if you want to use the reactive forms, then in that case, you need to import this separate module, the reactive forms module. Let us save the change in here. I'll just go back to the HTML file because I can see that I have another error, which says now that the form group of any or undefined is not assignable to form group any because the type undefined is not assignable to type form group any. Now to fix this error, what I'll do is that I'll just go to component.ts and I'm going to remove the undefined from here. And here we get another error which says that the feedback form has no initializers. To fix this error, you can either initialize the feedback form inside the constructor. So just paste the code in here, the error is gone. Or if you want to keep the initialization in the ng on init, then you just add in here the exclamation mark. This way means that before you are able to access any of the properties, this is properly initialized, so you can access all the properties in the HTML file. So you can either use this method, add this symbol up here, or you can just move this code to the constructor. Let us now go back to the feedback.component.html and let us start with the email address. Now, for us to be able to bind this property to the form group property, we're going to use the name formControlName. So this is the attribute that we're going to use. And in here, we're going to define the email address. Let us do the same for the phone number. Now we're going to have phone number. Then we are going to use the range. Then we're going to do the same for the title. So feedback title. Let us check the value to make sure. So here we have feedback title and then feedback. So this is the right value. And then down here we're going to also have feedback. And this is how you can easily set up a reactive form. Now to test this out, I'll just save the changes and I'll go to the feedback.component.ts and then inside the submit feedback, I'll just enable this line. I'll just copy paste and then just comment in this line. And this is going to be now this dot feedback form dot value. Let us save the changes and let's go to our app. So here we have the reactive form. I'll press F12 and here we get the error that says that error cannot find control with name phone number and with range. Let us go back. We check, we have the phone number and we have the rate. We don't have a range, we have a rate. Let's check the rate. Okay, this is not range, this needs to be rate. And then phone number, I think we have a phone number. Oh, we had a typo, it's phone number. It needs to be phone number. Let's save the changes and go back to the app. Now you can see we don't have any errors. So I'm just going to add example at example.com and then click the submit feedback button. You'll see that we have the value for the email address. We don't have any values for feedback. We have some other values as well. On the next part, you'll learn how to add data validations.